Welcome, critters. I'm Claire Jones, your devoted host of the Sacred Reading CR podcast, where we discuss and examine Critical Role episodes, plotlines, characters, and players through the lens of sacred reading practices. This particular episode is about Campaign 1, Episode 44, Part 2, and joining me today is Atlas.
Hello.
I could probably do that intro in the middle of the night if you wake me up at 2 a.m. at this point. That's
Fair
how
enough.
ingrained it is in my brain. So, the icebreaker for today is what is something that always makes you laugh?
Um, Always makes me laugh. Um, Funny animal videos are a really big
Mhm.
one, especially if they involve like sheep. I don't know why, but I find sheep and goats like
Sure.
extremely amusing. Um, and my brother has discovered this and likes to send me videos in the middle of work to try to make me laugh during meetings.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, sometimes it works.
I mean, more like fortunately, honestly.
It's, a good bit of levity. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my initial answer that I thought of for this question was narrative telephone.
That's also a good one.
Because narrative telephone, like, if I need a pick me up, I can rely on narrative telephone to do that.
Yes. And
However,
specifically Grogs is my go-to.
absolutely. And
Yes.
I will also add that it's probably can be reduced to just Sam Riegel in general. Always makes me laugh.
Fair enough.
Because I was thinking about this last night because I watched the Weird Kids episode with Sam. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Not yet.
I was laughing the entire time. It was delightful.
That's fair. I actually haven't watched much of Weird Kids, but I want to. I just don't have time right now.
It is so good. It is so good. I am learning so much about like two of my favorite humans on the planet, and adding Sam to the mix was just the icing on the cake. And like hearing his stories about also being a weird kid growing up was just, it was the best. Absolute best.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But narrative telephone is always one of those where I'm like, all right, if I am feeling like absolute garbage dog shit, then narrative telephone will make me laugh.
Yeah, I have a like feel good playlist on YouTube, and Narrative Telephone is several of those. Game
Yeah.
Changer is also several of those.
Yeah.
And then, a bunch of funny animal videos because
Yeah.
who doesn't like those?
I mean, my friend is an otter girl. My
Hmm.
best friend is an otter girl. And so every otter video I come across, I do send her. I'm like, here's your daily dose of otters in case you didn't get one today.
We all need a friend like that.
I know. I'm like, what would it? I mean, I am stuck in the world of social media right now when it comes to rescue animal videos.
Mm.
I have been pretty much crying every single day for the last month plus over successful rescue stories online.
Can't blame you there.
Yeah, and it's heartwarming and also kind of sad that I cry every day, but it's for a good reason.
Fair enough.
But, is it a coping mechanism? Is it not a coping mechanism? I don't know.
Everything's a coping mechanism these days.
That is so true. Well, speaking of, please join us as we embark on this exciting adventure in story analysis and self-reflection in order to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As always, we love hearing your own insights and stories as well, so please comment, like, subscribe below. And ready? All right, let's dive in. As we open this episode, take it away.
Okay. We return from the break to the belated announcement that this episode is the 1 year anniversary of the stream
What a
because they
concept!
forgot to make that announcement, I guess. Uh, the game itself restarts with the crew carefully making their way down the stairs into the temple. Vex pauses to discuss the Vix pauses to detect undead, but finds nothing. I can read my own handwriting. Zara and Cash both cast light and bookend the rest of the party to make sure everybody can see at least a little as they head into the gloom. When Vax reaches the bottom of the stairs, he finds himself at an intersection and spots two humanoid figures. The rest of the group decides to stealth the rest of the way, and the two with light spells snuff them out. The two figures keep on moving, and the party members with dark vision have a chance to observe a bit more about them. Side note, because it bugged me, the three half elves do have dark vision according to 5e rules and will have dark vision later in the campaign, but will spend this entire session acting as if they don't. The two humanoid figures appear to be armed and rather fish-like. Laura asks if the book she bought contained a map of the tomb and what level the sarcophagus is on, and it did not, much to her chagrin. They decide to temporarily split the party and investigate both tunnels to determine which way they should go. Vax and Grog head to the right, while Zara, Cash, and Scanlan head to the left. Percy, Keyleth, Vex, and Kima stay in the middle and wait for direction. Grog and Vax head down the right tunnel and find a dead end where the flooring has collapsed. Grog jokes that Vax should go ahead of him, but stops him before he can fall into the exposed chasm. They are able to determine that the collapse stretches for about 20 feet and discuss trying to cross, but decide to see what the others find first. The left tunnel has a downward slope and patches of a mystery mucus leading to a spiral staircase. The party agrees that splitting up further to head down the gooey staircase is probably a bad idea, so they all gather in the right tunnel, with Zara, Cash, and Scanlan. Keyleth is able to determine that the goo is not something she recognizes as natural. For some reason, Scanlan and Keyleth both decide to taste the goo, which is flavorless and luckily does nothing. They make their way further down the tunnel, checking for traps along the way, which they do find on the lower level. Vax tries to disarm the trap and fails. Both twins then struggle to disarm the trap or block the trap and start making a plan with Grog to jam it when Scanlan steps up and manages to decipher and disarm it. They delve deeper into the tunnel and find themselves at yet another intersection plagued by a collapsed floor. After a brief discussion, they manage to leap or fly across the gap, except for Grog, who rolls a 1 and has to be caught by his own reflexes, Keyleth's grasping vine, and Trinket's claws, Lion King style. They all push open a door and find themselves in a large room with a platform and a sarcophagus. They spot a couple of the humanoid creatures in the room, and Vex is able to tell that they know that the party is there. They find themselves confronting several of these humanoid fish creatures, and we roll initiative. At this point, I've opted to keep the recap of the combat very general because there is a lot of other stuff in this episode that is more interesting. The party starts to engage the fish people, landing some solid blows before the combat is interrupted by the appearance of a beholder. They trade blows back and forth with the beholder and the fish people for several rounds with some close calls. Kima ends up in a chasm, and Cash is almost petrified. They struggle to combat its anti-magic cone, losing many of the most effective parts of their go-to attacks, including Keyleth's Wild Shape, and pretty much all of Kashah's arsenal since he's very spell-based. They roll ridiculously well on their saving throws, which is great for them and frustrates Matt. They resist many of the Beholder's attacks and effects. Amidst the combat, Scanlan takes a moment to tease Vex about being able to move slightly faster now that she's out 30 gold for the book. And eventually, Zara manages to land the final blow on the Beholder. The party immediately rushes to check on Kima and Cash, wanting to save their allies. The effects on Cash fade with the death of the Beholder, and Vax climbs into the chasm to retrieve Kima with the help of Grog. The rest of the crew starts looting the bodies, and Percy in particular moves to open the sarcophagus in the middle of the room. The sarcophagus is covered in black feathers and contains a skeletal corpse wearing jet black studded armor. Vex starts to check to see if it's safe to touch the armor, but before she can finish, Percy touches the armor himself. Vex, Percy, and Trinket are caught in the resulting trap. Percy and Trinket are heavily wounded, but Vex is killed by the burst of necrotic energy that surrounds the coffin. Vax emerges from the chasm just in time to see the aftermath, and the whole crew rushes to Vex. Zara tries to feed her a healing potion with no effect, and Cash offers to revivify or raise dead to bring her back. Vax cradles his sister and tries another healing potion, which does not work, while Cash scrambles to ready his spell. Cash is hesitant to use this kind of life and death magic because of its proximity to his patron, Vesh, but chooses to follow through in spite of his fear of her. Max, who's Max? Matt starts a revivification ritual, which is really hard to say,
Yeah.
set of skill checks where others will be able to contribute to the spell that Cash is casting, and their efforts will affect the DC. Percy tries to add some of his residuum to the existing spell components to amplify the effects, but only rolls a 6 and the crystals shatter. Zara uses her moonstone staff to call upon her patron for aid and rolls a 17. At this point, there's a very faint image of a woman near the altar who Cash fears is Vesh, though he continues the spell. The third and final contribution comes from Vax, who holds his sister close and insists, "Take me instead, you raven bitch." The woman near the altar comes closer and is revealed to be a specter of the Raven Queen herself. She nods to Vax, and life returns to Vex. Keyleth tries to sense if anything is different about Vax after this interaction, but finds nothing. Scanlan gives Vex 30 gold and apologizes about his earlier teasing. Grog tells Vex that she wasn't just unconscious, she was dead, and she spends some time trying to process that fact. The party tries to take care of Vex in any way they can, and a couple try to check on Vax, but he walks away from them. They return to the sarcophagus and find that most things inside have been destroyed, except for the armor they came for and a medallion that they don't know anything about. They're hesitant to pick up the armor now and spend more time studying it, finding that it's inscribed with the story of the Raven Queen and various enchantments that they don't understand. Scanlan determines that the trap is spent and will not go off again. They retrieve their first vestige and make their way out of the temple quickly. Zara pulls Vex aside, gifts her an arrow of dragon slaying, and seems to be saying her goodbyes. Keyleth pulls Cash aside and asks him to explain what he believes in. He explains that he believes in life, but he didn't have much faith in people until he met Zara, and she started to show him what it meant to have a family. Keyleth thanks him for the chance he took to save her own family and he tells her about his hope that Vox Machina can kill the dragons. They also take a moment to finally talk about their shared kiss and offer each other an awkward goodbye. Kima pulls the group together and announces that she'll be heading to Whitestone, as that seems to be the current base for the allies who survive, and she manages to talk Zara and Cash into joining her there. The entire group decides to spend the night in Whitestone, seeking the comforts of a familiar place and proper furniture after the events of the day, and we end the episode with Keyleth opening a tree to Whitestone.
Yeah. So I recently came across the term availability bias
Mm-hmm.
as a cognitive bias that we all have of choosing just like the immediate most available choice that we have to us. However, we do not see that in the second half of the episode. I feel like they are blind to what's in front of them for a lot of the second half.
Fair. They make a lot of interesting choices, but not in the worst way we've seen from them.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel they make a lot of obvious missteps in the second half because they are not paying attention to what is right in front of them.
Yeah, there is definitely a little bit of that. I think there was also a level of just a classic dungeon crawl happening, and they're not feeling the weight of the danger of it.
Yeah,
Like they're not processing what these vestiges are or how well they're protected. They're
yeah,
just on a fun little dungeon crawl side quest.
yeah,
This is what kicks it into like this is real and it matters.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they're looking for an easy button.
Hmm.
They're looking for like, oh, well, this is like you said, just a little side quest. We're just going to collect this armor and it's gonna be great. And we're all gonna have a good time.
Yeah. It's yeah, I think partially what you were saying of they just miss a lot of stuff. They're not totally in it. And also they don't really know what they've gotten themselves into. It's kind of like when Grog hits the dragon for the first time
Yeah,
and it becomes very real that they're not ready to confront a dragon. They're not ready to deal with vestiges.
yeah,
They haven't figured that out yet.
yeah. Like they were freaked out by the beholder and they thought that the beholder was the biggest threat to
Hmm.
them. But I think they've also forgotten how far they've come since they fought their last beholder.
Right?
Because it's been since the Underdark under Craghammer, which was their very, very first arc since streaming.
Yeah. And like that beholder, that fight was tough, but it's also forgettable.
Yeah,
Like I often forget that they
yeah,
did fight a beholder before this.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I saw Beholder mentioned in the YouTube comments when I was pulling up the video, and I was like, there's a Beholder? I was like, wait a minute, I forgot all about the Beholder in this
Yep.
episode. And then, like, I was watching the episode very quickly this morning while I was prepping for this, and I was also multitasking during the battle portion of it when I was rewatching it. And because it's not important at the end of the day.
Well, and because they roll so well on all their saving throws and everything, it's not a particularly interesting combat.
Yeah,
Like, it was probably fun to play, but
yeah,
it doesn't have the drama that makes it fun to watch because they just keep succeeding.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like a distraction tactic. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering if Matt did that on purpose. Like, A, throwing a big bad that they already were familiar with at them,
Hmm.
and doing it in such a way where it was smoke and mirrors for what was actually going on.
Well, and it's one of those things where if they actually had gotten through that trap check,
Mm,
it might have felt very different,
yeah,
but they didn't even recognize the trap. So who's to say if they could have disarmed it
yeah,
or like what level of danger it might have appeared to be if they had recognized that trap?
yeah.
It's the fact that it goes off the way it does that makes it such a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Like up until this point in the story, they've been straight up panicking. That's what we talked a lot about with
Hmm.
this, our last episode of the podcast, because they finally like had a path to go on. They finally are confident in their path that they're pursuing. They kind of return to normalcy a little bit after this huge panic of the dragon attacks.
Right.
And the normalcy that they've, quote unquote, normalcy that they've returned to is kind of a bait and switch. It's kind of a false comfort, and
Yeah.
they don't realize that at all.
Yeah, and there's something about the way they just kind of disperse and start looting,
Yeah,
where the only person for whom the sarcophagus is the priority is Percy.
yeah,
Like even Vex is off doing other stuff at first.
yeah,
Like they're not immediately heading towards the vestige, they're just kind of treating it like any other dungeon crawl. They
Yeah.
haven't really clocked that this matters.
Yeah. 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 And it's funny that you like specifically emphasized like they find their first vestige in your summary
Hmm.
because I don't think they've even realized that themselves yet.
Yeah, it's something that Matt mentioned during the episode. Like as he was doing a little like his he rushes through the sign off of this.
Yeah.
Like you guys just get out of the
Yeah.
tomb. He
Yeah.
doesn't make him play through it. And one of the
Yeah.
things he mentions during that quick interlude is that you've retrieved your first vestige, but it's in the middle of things. It's kind of blown past, and they're just kind of spent at this point.
Yeah.
Like the emotional weight of Vex dying and the revivification ritual, which someday I will say on my first try, uh, that has all kind of turned their brains to mush, understandably enough.
Yeah.
And I don't think they clock that he said it.
Yeah.
You know, we do in hindsight. I don't know that I picked up on it the first time I watched or the second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a throwaway line in a summary. But this time it was like, oh, they actually like that's important and something worth noting.
I mean, it goes to show you how much the context of stories affect the
Hmm.
stories. Because the
For
only
sure.
reason why he extended this episode to even include like the Beholder fight and the resulting of that is because Will and Mary couldn't come to the next episode. They had
Yeah.
other obligations. They couldn't be part of Critical Role for another week. And so Matt pushed the length of this episode so that they could get to a closure point as guests on the stream.
Yeah.
And I don't think Matt would have done that had the guests not been there.
Yeah. I also wonder if the energy of having guests on
Yeah,
was something that pushed them to move a little quicker through things like looting than they normally would.
yeah,
Especially with a couple of the failed trap checks earlier in the game, and a couple other like pauses that they had where maybe it impacted the ability of them to feel like they had been successful.
yeah,
I think like having the guests and the way that the dungeon diving bits had gone earlier for them, I think it all combined to make them a little hasty towards the end, and we
yeah,
get this really incredible story beat out of it that shouldn't have existed, but is amazing
yeah.
as a foundation for the rest of this arc and for
It
a lot of the rest
changes
of the campaign.
it changes the rest of the campaign.
It
Like
changes several campaigns, honestly.
absolutely, absolutely 100%. And we'll get to those ramifications later on for sure. But it's just amazing how different influences affect the outcomes in
Hmm.
so many different ways. Like it's the smallest things sometimes that just meet together in like the perfect way to
Yeah.
produce something that is literally not only life changing, but like world changing.
Yeah. And like what we're really dancing around is this is peak butterfly effect.
Absolutely.
Like any one of those things isn't there,
Yeah.
this moment doesn't happen. The next three campaigns,
Yes.
completely different.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I have so many thoughts on like, experiences that I've had that relate to this. Um, but I just kind of want to underline this story development
Mhm.
concept that we're seeing happen here because I see so many creatives create in a vacuum, in a silo, without recognizing how external influences affect what they're doing.
Yeah.
when everything affects everything.
Right? Nothing exists in a vacuum.
Yeah, yeah. And I just think it's completely ironic and hilarious too that they don't mention the 1 year anniversary until after the break too, because I
Yeah.
think the players themselves are also still in that mindset of what we do is still in a vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see that we're a year into this because to me this still feels like very, very early days.
Yeah.
Some of their unfamiliarity with D&D character aspects and spells and all of that, like it continues into present day, if I'm honest,
Oh yeah.
but it feels so much more prevalent in this
Yeah.
era. Um, and it just feels like they're so, for lack of a better term, young. Like they haven't really grasped what this is, what they've created, what the weight of this is going to be. And it makes so much more sense in hindsight than it does to them in the moment.
I mean, you can even look at their meeting of the beholder as a
Hmm.
form of sacred reading for them too, because they're coming back to the same text, the same monster, the
Mm,
same
interesting.
media.
Yeah.
In real life, it's a year later. In game, I think it's a couple months, something like that.
I don't even know, but probably.
Um, but they're at a slightly higher level this time. They're in a
Hmm.
slightly different place this time, meeting this beholder. And so the beholder is acting as a sacred text to them to reflect back what they have or have not learned in that interim.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think about it that way because it's not the first time we've seen them reconfront a beast,
Hmm.
but I think it's the biggest gap we've seen.
Yeah.
And especially after the influx of the dragons and the helplessness that they feel, it's a good reminder of where they came from.
Yeah. Yeah. And a good reminder of their growth.
Yes.
But they don't see that.
No, because everything about this combat, as mentioned, is overshadowed by everything else in this episode.
Yep.
Like it's a good combat. It's
Sure.
well run. It
Yeah.
works out for them, but it is so overshadowed by the story beats that it's easy to forget, easy to miss. I think everybody does, quite
I
frankly.
mean, it's a great microcosm of just the development of Critical Role as an entity, too,
Hmm.
because they're moving beyond like the monster of the week
Yes.
focus. They're moving beyond the like combat focus that many D&D groups get stuck in to a story beat focus.
Yeah.
Like this is the foundation for a more story rich
Hmm.
campaign and a story rich organization of Critical Role.
Yeah. And this is one of their turning points as a production.
Yes.
Like we all talk about Briarwood Arc as being when they figured it out, when they started really getting into it, this is their next big turning point.
Yeah.
Like we can talk about the, destruction of Amon, and that's a great story beat. This moment, though, is where it actually changes for them.
Yeah.
It's not the destruction of Amon. That's not the
Yeah.
next big turning point.
Yeah.
It's this moment in the Sunken Tomb where they have a battle that is like every other battle they have
Yes.
ever had. And it's overshadowed completely by this incredible story beat that holds weight and meaning and colors everything.
It deepens the emotional connection in ways that a traditional adventure story
Hmm.
arc does not.
Yeah. And like I love the Chroma Conclave arc. It's fun. It's a little long, but it's fun. It would not hold the importance that it does without this moment.
Yeah.
It's not a treasure hunt for vestiges that makes it interesting.
No.
It is the fact that those vestiges have impact and weight. And without this moment, I don't know that we ever would have gotten that, except maybe when we get to Glenshore.
I mean, I'm honestly tempted to just throw out the term Chroma Conclave arc entirely and instead say, like, this is the Raven Queen arc,
Interesting.
or like maybe the Vestige arc.
Yeah, I would lean toward Vestige because while it is very Raven Queen for Vax,
Yeah.
I don't know that that makes it out of his periphery until after the rest of the vestiges are really found.
I mean, the Vestiges are inherently God-based.
Yeah,
And so I was hesitating to say like God arc, honest,
right.
because this God arc is going to last us literally until the end of the campaign.
Plus
Like
some. Yeah.
we never get out of this God arc. But I think that's too broad of a term.
Or maybe Champion arc would be a good one of
Maybe.
like it because it's all about that journey from this place to becoming the person who can defeat a dragon,
Yeah.
right? It's not about the vestige itself. It's not
Yeah.
about the Raven Queen specifically. It's about the way that they change these
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah. The way these characters step into, oh my God, this is going to sound so cliche, but step into their destiny.
Yeah,
You know, they step into, it's like the adultier adult syndrome.
right.
This is the arc that forces them to be like, oh, I can't be a fuck around anymore. This shit is serious.
Yeah. And like they've been on that path for a while, changing their group name and kind of taking on more serious quests and responsibilities. This is when they start to understand what that means.
Yeah. 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 Like, there's a time where you just have to fucking grow up sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
And
For
you just
sure.
have to make the adultier adult decision moving forward. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we call it the adultier adult arc. I don't know.
That may be a little too alliterative.
AAA car insurance.
Oh, oh my. Yeah. No, like I talked last time about how this is one of my favorite episodes. And it is. It very much is. Like we're still sticking to very classic encapsulation of D&D for the first part of this.
Yeah.
We've got a classic dungeon delve, we've got some traps, we've got some very iconic
Yeah.
monsters.
Beholder, I
Like
mean, iconic.
you cannot get more iconic than a beholder.
Yeah.
But then we also get to show off the strength of D&D
Yeah.
in the emotional weight that it can carry.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of continued with this idea of a capsule episode of like, it's got everything
Mm.
and it's all
This
in
baby's
one.
got everything.
Yep. We're really selling it here. I completely forgot where the train of thought was going and got distracted by the car salesman act.
Encapsulating.
Uh, Encapsulating episode. Um, but even though it's such a tight encapsulation of what D&D is, it's also not a standalone episode in any way.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the strength of it, is it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be standalone to be amazing.
Yeah. 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 And it doesn't have to be thrilling every single step of the way to be
Right.
amazing either. Like we get bored. in the second half. The combat isn't that exciting at the end of the day,
No.
but that doesn't detract from the amazing quality.
I would argue that it enhances it.
Mm,
You cannot have the impact of an emotional moment if you're at a 10 the entire episode.
yes.
Like it's with any good story, any good book, any good TV show, any good media of any kind, you're going to have lulls that build back up to something that has weight. We needed the lull for the death to have an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I am overflowing with personal examples, but I'm going to let you go first.
Oh boy. Uh, I think the thing that I really had coming to mind is having something beautiful come out of something difficult. Um,
Mm,
and we don't see that necessarily in the episode. We only see the beginning of it, but it's what's coming, like knowing what's coming next, that is also got a huge effect. So I was thinking about it this morning when I was writing the summary, and one of the big ones that I've got is uh, I um, I moved back to my hometown, right? And I love it. I do. It's been incredible. That came out of a very hard, very dark period of my life. Like the 5 years that I spent in the last place I lived were not good for me, were not easy to go through. Um, but having had some space from them wouldn't change it for the world. It made coming back here feel good. It made it into something important and something that I can really take joy in. But it took that journey to get there. It took those hard years and those hard times to really make this into something that is so special to me.
mm.
And so, like, we're only seeing the beginning of this journey. There is so much farther to go, but it's that moment of recognizing that the hard part isn't the end of it, it's just the beginning of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think mine follows in that line of thinking of like, we are in charge of making the meaning of what happens to us,
Mhm.
right? And they could have easily just been like, oh, Vex died, boo-hoo, we're moving on, she's alive. Great, mission
Yeah.
accomplished.
And we'll see some deaths like that in this campaign.
Yeah, but they chose to emotionally connect with what that meant to them.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of doing a similar thing in my life right now. This is a bit of a less serious example, but I've been injuring myself a lot lately. As you can see, my finger here is all wrapped up. This is the second injury that I've given myself in the last month.
You're on a roll.
I am on a roll. My first one was crashing a bike. And I'm pretty sure I broke my finger, although I didn't realize it at the time. But now there's a bump on my bone that's not going away as it heals. So now I have to go get x-rays. And then this week, I sliced off a tip of my finger with using a mandolin in the kitchen.
Easy enough to do.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And there's just been an alarming amount of blood coming out of my body in the last month. Um, and as frustrating as it can be for me to be like, fuck, why did I do that?
Yeah.
I'm also intentionally taking the opportunity to be okay, like what meaning do I choose to make out of these seemingly accidental things that are happening to me? Like Percy accidentally touching the armor before Vex can inspect it, me crashing a bike into a plastic sidewalk sign and cutting off part of my finger with a mandolin. Like accidents. They happen. We're imperfect beings living in an imperfect world. I could have easily just been like, oh, that happened, moving on. But I'm also choosing to be like, okay, what is this telling me about my life, how I move about in my life, my
Yeah.
physical actions? And so I literally made myself a post-it that I put on my kitchen cabinet that says, slow down. I'm like, think before you do, Claire.
Yeah. Fair.
Because I've been kind of stuck in a very hyperactive mode for a
Hmm.
while in my life now. I picked up a W-2 job on top of the business that I was running in the last year and a half. I was working 60 hours a week, 7 days a week up until recently. And so I kind of got stuck in this habit of just going, like really
Yeah.
hyperactive, really quickly, like trying to accomplish everything on a very tight timeline. And I've kind of been detoxing from that since I quit the W-2 this summer. And so it's literally been a month and a half since I quit that W-2. And so it's been definitely a process of me trying to like catch myself when I am like
Yeah.
stuck in that hyperactive activity mode. And I think these injuries are just a result of being stuck in that hyperactive mode because I'm just moving without thinking often and
Right.
being like, I need to get this done, I need to get this done, I need to get this done. When really that urgency isn't as strong as it was when I was in 60 hours a week, 7 days a week type of schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing to use like these injuries as an opportunity to like, A, brush up on my first aid skills. And B, be like, all right, what is this telling me about the way that I move about in my day-to-day life?
Hmm.
What is this telling me about this hyperactive mode that I can get stuck in? Because I've noticed myself get stuck in that pattern in the past. Like I
Right.
always used to joke that I can tell when I'm over caffeinated when I start unconsciously counting my steps as I'm walking.
Interesting. Okay.
And I first noticed that way back in the day when I was working an internship, that was also that kind of like hyperactive urgency
Hmm.
framework. And like I found myself going down the stairwell one day and I was counting my steps unconsciously in my head as I was going. And I was like, I am over caffeinated. I am moving way too quickly for my body.
Yeah.
And so again, it's kind of like my sacred reading mile marker to be
Hmm.
like, oh, I am injuring myself. I am actively harming myself because I'm not pausing, because
Yeah.
I'm not slowing down and focusing on how I move versus like how fast I move.
Right. All important things.
Yeah. I'm also thinking a lot about just like not seeing what's right in front of you. I've been running into a lot of that lately in terms of
Yeah.
both myself and the people around me. And I've talked about the whole like adult to your adult thing too on this podcast of just how this year has felt like the year where I have been like, okay, I need to be the adult to your adult in this
Right.
situation and step up and actually take strategic action based on what's happening versus reactive action.
Yeah. That's fair.
So, what are we going to do about it?
I think the thing that came to mind for me was the importance of allowing yourself to emotionally connect, to
Mm,
feel your feelings.
yes.
The world is the world right now. And hard on a lot of people and a lot of groups. That doesn't mean you need to shut it all off in
Mm,
order to be effective.
mm,
Like part of what makes this episode so strong is they allow themselves to be emotional. They allow themselves to act on that emotion and feel that emotion. And that's not relegated to the realm of storybooks. Like your emotion is one that you need to feel.
Yeah.
Um, and so I am notorious for internalizing everything and just powering through. It is something that my therapist has called me out on several times this year.
Yeah, well.
Um, so my thing that I'm going to do based on this episode is make sure that I take time to feel my feelings about things, and to recognize that those feelings have value, and that they do make things better in one way or another, whether that's making me more effective as a friend or if it's making me less stressed in the moment because I'm not bottling everything up. There's a million different ways it could become helpful. It is not a skill that I have. Therefore, it is going to be the thing that I take from this. Like see the strength that comes out of feeling the feelings and connecting emotionally and allow that to be something that I try to do more.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that kind of circles around to the whole like I find myself crying every day thing.
Yeah.
I kind of see it as like a pressure release valve.
Yes.
Like maybe the rescue animal videos are a gateway drug to me having pressure release valve emotions.
The important things.
But at least they're being released,
Yeah.
you know? Um, yeah, I mean, I just need to slow the fuck down. Like, I've just been running full sprint for so long at this point that I just need to, like, take a beat and be okay with
Yeah, I don't know how you've been doing
yeah, it's been a lot. And like it's funny when we first got on this call today, I was talking about how like the rest of this week was actually pretty light for me. And so I actually took advantage of the lightness that I had
it.
of like, getting off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon instead of like pushing myself to work another 3 hours for no reason, really.
Right.
Today is a outlier to that because today was just outrageously busy for no reason. But I think I just need to continue down this path of being like, okay, I do have all of this free time available now, and I need to resist the urge to fill it with more stuff
Yes.
too. Like, I was like, what if I've been planning for a while to sign up for those Harvard free courses that they're offering online.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed up for my first this week. And I was like, yeah, I can just do like half an hour a day and it's gonna be casual.
It never is.
So I'm gonna try my best to keep it casual. And then like I also had the idea, I've like had a marketing book in the back burner for a while that I've been slowly trying to chew on and germinate. And so I'm also trying to not like throw myself whole hog into writing said book now that I have free time available again.
Right.
Um, and so it is definitely a challenge for me to not overload my schedule. And so,
A
yeah,
skill to learn.
it's a skill to practice for sure. And also just be okay with being bored and lying around and
Yes.
accepting that it's okay to do so too.
And even important to do so.
Important to do so for sure. Because I think we get so stuck on the whole like capitalism gerbil wheel
Yes.
a lot of the time too. And I am not pointing fingers at anyone except for myself in that statement because I do have a tendency of making businesses out of my hobbies all the time,
A lot of people do.
all the time. Um, and so it's definitely a practice for me to be like, all right, slow down. Don't fill your time immediately.
Hmm.
Let your schedule breathe. Let your goals and projects breathe. Yeah.
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 Important life goals.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything you want to add before we start wrapping up?
Nope. I think we're good.
Let me go get some more free time out of my day, even though I still have about 2 hours worth of work that I need to get through. Maybe an
Yeah.
hour, maybe not 2 hours. I'll try to keep it reduced to an hour. We'll see how successful I am. Well, thanks for coming to my therapy session.
Oh, anytime. It's always fun to be here.
Mm-hmm. This is powerful stuff that we're talking about. And audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights with us as well. We'd love to know how this episode impacted you. What were the takeaways that you had? What revelations you had? Hit us. We're here for them. Special thanks to Alice for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Always happy to be here.
Next time, we'll be discussing Campaign 1, Episode 45, Part 1, and joining me will be Petal, so I'm excited for that. As always, I'm looking for more co-hosts and guests, so if you're interested in coming on and nerding out, please let me know. In the meantime, please comment, like, subscribe below, follow us on Tumblr at Sacred Reading CR, and until next time, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be free, and be the chaotic good you wish to see in the world. Take care, guys.
Bye.